If you don't have homemade pasta sauce made, and I don't, I would recommend going ahead and branching out and making your own. It's not that difficult, and it's actually pretty delicious. I think it tastes better than most store-bought brands. So you're going to need a skillet of some sort, and you're going to go ahead and turn that on to a medium-high temperature. You're going to put about 2 tablespoons of butter in your skillet and let it melt down. Once that butter has started to melt, you can go ahead and add in some onions and garlic. And I just chopped up 1 clove of garlic and about 1/4 of an onion. Maybe not quite 1/4 of an onion. It was some leftover onion that I had in the fridge. And now you want to, you don't want to burn these, so you want to keep an eye on it. But you want to more than sweat them. We're probably going to brown them just a little bit. Alright, now that these are starting to brown, you can clearly hear them. Smell really good. I'm going to go ahead and deglaze the pan. If you haven't watched my videos before, I do this quite often when cooking. You can use anything from a stock, like chicken stock or beef stock, or lemon juice. I prefer to use cooking wine if I can, if it's going to go with the flavors of the dish. So I just have some burgundy cooking wine, and I'm just going to deglaze the pan with it. The reason why I like to use this is because I think that it gives a lot of flavor to a dish, especially if I'm making something like spaghetti sauce or making something like a chicken marsala. Obviously you want to use a marsala with that, but I think that it adds another level of flavor to it. But if you're uncomfortable with cooking with that, like I said, a stock or a lemon juice is going to be just fine. You can even use like a white wine vinegar, anything like that. It took me a while to be comfortable cooking with cooking wine because I just wasn't sure if I was cooking properly with it, but now I really enjoy it. Okay, so now that I have deglazed the pan and this is all mixed in pretty well, I've gotten all the good bits off of the pan, I'm going to go ahead and add in some mushrooms. And these are just white mushrooms. You can get whatever kind you want. Honestly, I'm not very specific on them, mainly because I want to buy what's on sale. And they didn't have any on sale, and I wanted some, so I just got the cheapest kind that I could find. That smells so good. Okay, so at this point, I'm going to add a tiny bit of stock, just because there's not a lot of liquid left in here, and I don't want this to burn up. So I have a little bit of some pork bone broth left. I'm just going to add probably not even 1/4 of a cup in there, just so that those mushrooms will cook without everything burning. Alright, next we're going to add tomatoes. I use canned tomatoes right now just because I am in the process of learning how to grow and can my own tomatoes, but I just have diced tomatoes, and you can use ones that are plain or that have seasoning in them. These have basil, garlic, and oregano, so that's perfect for this. Don't drain them off, you're going to want all that juice. And these are just diced. You can use crushed tomatoes, you can use tomato sauce. That'll cut a little bit down on the steps that you have to do in here, but this is just what I have. I got these on sale, so now the next step is going to take a little bit of time. You see how all this liquid is in here. We really want this to cook down, okay? So we're going to turn this onto a simmer, and we're going to cover it, and we're going to let it cook. Because you want all of this liquid, almost all of it, to cook down. Because you don't want watery sauce like that, right? You want it to be a little bit thicker and spreadable. So it just is going to take time. You've just got to cook it down. If you were starting with something like a tomato paste or tomato sauce, it wouldn't take as long. But just because I'm starting with these diced tomatoes, it's going to take a little bit more time. So we're going to let that simmer down. Now that the majority of the liquid is cooked down, in this. You can either put it into a blender or use something like this, an immersion blender, or if you want it to stay chunky, you can leave it chunky. I'm going to try to puree it just a little bit. At this time you want to add any vegetables, you can add that in, and then turn the heat off until you're ready to use it. Alright, now we're going to make the next part of our lasagna, and this is our cheese filling. Now this is a veggie lasagna, so I don't have any meat in it, so we're going to pack this full of as many vegetables as we can. If you remember, we put mushrooms in the sauce. I also added a little bit of chopped up broccoli to the sauce. Now for the cheese filling, we're going to add kale. And we're going to add some more broccoli. We're just going to put the lid on and blend that up. Take a look at this, guys. Look at that. That looks so delicious. I bet this would be a good dip too. Okay, so that is just cream cheese, some kale, and some broccoli. Now I'm going to season this a little bit with some salt and pepper, but that's it. We're going to leave it at that. Alright, let's look at that sauce. Wow, look at how much that reduced. Delicious. Alright, now we are going to start assembling our lasagna. Put our noodle in there, and I'm not using a square dish just because I'm making a small amount of lasagna. So what I'm going to do is take a couple of noodles and slice them down the middle, and then we can have a nice layer like that. Now we're going to add some sauce. Remember, we said this is a veggie lasagna. You can easily add meat to this sauce and still have all these vegetables. Then we're going to layer in some of our vegetables. I've got some zucchini. Are you okay? And some mushrooms. And then we'll put a layer of kale on top. And then we're going to add some of our cheese filling. This is kind of hard to spread, but that's why I put the kale there, so that we have a little bit better of a surface to work with. And the thing that I love about this is it doesn't have to be nice and even, because it's going to melt in the oven and it will spread from there. Okay, so then we're going to add another layer of pasta. Yeah, we can make it fit. Okay, and then let's cut another one to really give us a good layer of pasta. Oh, I might have to turn that one a little bit. Now it might not look like there's very much sauce on top, but the sauce from underneath is going to bubble up. Alright guys, I totally did not expect this. Check this out. It almost rose up like a souffle. So good. Yummy. I cannot wait to get into this. The house smells delicious. Like lasagna. And like I told you, see some of that cheese topping would come through. I'm sure as soon as I pierce into this, this whole air bubble is going to go down, but yeah, you can see it's just an air bubble. So remember, we put the remainder of our cream cheese filling, and then we put sauce over it, and then we put shredded cheese on it. So that cheese filling came through deliciously. I can't wait to taste this. It's going to be so good. Alright, I'm going to give this lasagna a try. I got some of the noodle and the cheese sauce and the pasta sauce, and even some zucchini on there. This is delicious. It's nice and cheesy, like lasagna should be, but there's still lots of nutrients in there from all those veggies. And that cream cheese is really good in there. I think I actually prefer that cream cheese to ricotta, like I normally make. So definitely a recipe I will be repeating in our house. Hey y'all, Shani here at the Homemade Mama. Sorry it's a little bit dark in the kitchen right now. I'm trying to make it a little bit less hot in the house right now since I've had the oven on all day. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this video today and you learned how to make homemade pasta and homemade lasagna completely from scratch. So I hope that you guys enjoyed that and that you will subscribe to my channel and follow more videos like this, and we'll see you next time.